Presenting the PR Maven podcast, hosted by Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven, targeted at business leaders who want to merge the best techniques of traditional networking with the best new platforms and technologies to engage your target audience, build your network, and grow your brand and business. The podcast is sponsored by Marshall Communications, Maine-based, globally connected. As we get ready for another great episode, remember, you can always connect with Nancy and other listeners on the PR Maven Nation group page on Facebook. Now, here's your host, Nancy Marshall.
So, Chef Matt Ginn, to kick things off, tell us about your career and how you got into it in the first place.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So, right now I'm the executive chef at Evo Kitchen Bar in Portland, and I'm the chef at the Chebique Island Inn off the coast of Yarmouth, a little boutique hotel. It provides plenty of logistical headaches throughout the year.
Because it's only accessible by boat.
Yeah, silly thing called a road. We don't have that luxury. Both from a staff perspective and getting good quality product out there can be a challenge. But this is my fourth season. We've kind of ironed out some of the wrinkles, and I think this will be as good a year as ever. And Evo is going to be celebrating 4 years this June 2019. I'm very proud, very excited, and it's gone by quick. And I think we're doing the best food we've ever done. I think we've seen 4 years of steady improvement. And I'm confident to say cooks, the staff, the food, the end product, everything that we do has gotten better. And it's been a great journey. I got into it in 2005. I was going to school in Connecticut. I stopped going abruptly.
What school, like college?
I was going to Fairfield University.
All right.
I was a sophomore in my first semester. I was partying too much, and school ended with a short notice for me, and I went home. And my folks gave me some tough love. They were like, rent starts start of the month. And, at the time, what was the worst thing that ever happened to me, I could conceive of. I'm 20 years old, and I'm like, wow, this is awful. I'm home, and my friends are at school, and even though I lacked maturity and discipline, I wish I hadn't made some mistakes. I had acknowledged that I'd made some mistakes. But as you fast forward 14 years, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Getting in a little trouble, having to go home, and getting some tough love from my parents. They said rent starts tomorrow, so I had only dishwashed and done a little prep cooking here in Portland area as a high schooler, and I just jumped right back into it. I went back into the kitchen. It took a couple of years before I really found the passion and just the drive and the addiction, the dedication, before I really was like, this is what I want to do. There was definitely a year or two of some running into college friends, being slightly embarrassed, well, I'm cooking over here, I'm doing this, but somewhere along the line, no pun intended, but down the line, that energy of the energy of the kitchen kind of really took hold of me. And I remember it didn't happen overnight, but just one day being like, I really enjoy this. I can't believe I'm getting paid. Like you're paid. I would do this for free. I love working in a busy restaurant. I love cooking. And then I got serious about it. I started buying some books. I said to myself, what is the best restaurant I can get a job in? Will you take me? I remember talking to the first kind of acclaimed chef I'd ever worked for and being like, I'll wash dishes. I'll do anything. Just let me work here. Let me prove to you that I'll be serious and work my way up. And I did that at probably 4 or 5 different restaurants. And then it just, once you pour yourself into something, it's over, off to the races. And for me, I liked it so much that that's all it was. Each restaurant and each institution I cooked at, I set short-term goals and long-term goals. By 6 months, I want to be a sous chef, or I want to work this station. In a year, I want to be at another restaurant working at an even more refined establishment. And I think it went by so quick because I enjoyed it so much that I picked my head up, and it was like 7 or 8 years had gone by, and I was like, wow, I'm running my own place. Didn't see that coming.
Well, from what I've learned about you, you really thrive on chaos.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah, I think that chaos, but just adrenaline and energy. A lot of physical energy in a space. I thrive on it being busy. And I think a lot of people do. I think that's probably why school and the structure and institution of learning that we have, that we make every kid go to a school, sit down, be quiet, learn from a distance, read this whiteboard, wasn't for me. It wasn't for me and probably isn't for a lot of people. And although I struggled from an academic standpoint, staying focused, I was always able to get kind of those B and C student, keep the parents off the back, keep the teachers away from me, let the coaches, so I could go play my sports. It was always about going to play sports, going to do the next thing, friends. And I found a lot of similarities in the kitchen as a sports team. And chaos, again, yes, there's moments of chaos, but I would just say it's moments of energy, nonstop movement.
The flow.
I think if I was sitting at a desk anywhere, I'm just not going to be your most successful worker. I think you got to really give me some curveballs, make me apply that energy that I always have. I mean, as I talk, I'm always moving my hands. You can't see it on a podcast, but I'm one of those really animated, just people. And you put me in a kitchen and I'll thrive.
So I just can't hold back. I just have to ask you about Chopped Championships. Sure. And tell us about that experience. And I mean, obviously you excelled at that.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was exciting. It was completely nerve-wracking. You're in a TV studio in Manhattan filming from 6 a.m. until, if you win, it's 9 o'clock at night. And it's really intense. But at the same time, I wasn't nervous because all you can do is your best. It's move fast and cook hard. And you get there's a lot of credit I give that Chopped show, a lot of integrity they maintain, that you don't have any idea what you're going to cook until you're standing in front of the baskets, until your knives are in front of you, and the judges who you had no idea were going to be judging you 30 minutes ago are staring at you. And when they say go, that's it. Time starts. And when they say stop, you better be ready. That you better have 4 good plates. So, as exhilarating as that is, it's not even something you can be nervous for because all you can do is go in and cook. People were asking me, did you practice? Did you do mystery baskets before? And it's like, no, I've been practicing for 13 years. Like, what is cooking some random ingredients that I may or may not, probably not have, going to do for me? But it was a great experience. I was fortunate enough to win. And, it was,
what year
gave
was
me
that?
Some confidence. The first time I went on the show was November of 2017, and I won. And then I went back for a champions round in May of 2018. And they were both aired in 2018. They both were. One was aired in October of 2018. One was aired in late July, so last year.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify in case people want to.
Yeah, if you want to see the show,
Google
the show was called Room for Shrooms. First show was about mushrooms. You can find it on YouTube TV, and some other apps. And the second show was called Champions Throwdown, and I won the first one and went on to the Grand Champions, and fell a little short in the grand finale. But again, a humbling experience, but an experience that I left with a little bit more confidence. And really, I have respect for anyone that goes on a show like that, puts themselves out there and performs, because there's no hiding on TV, in a situation like that. You're cooking, you're trying your best. I think the only hiding is the people who decline it, who say, no, I don't want to go on the show. It's like win, lose, or draw. There's something to be taken away from it. You put yourself out there. And I think to succeed in life, to succeed in cooking, you have to put yourself out there. You got to take some swings. You might not hit a home run every time. You might fail, but you'll learn from it,
That's right. It's like that book I've been reading by Brené Brown called Daring Greatly. And it's all about just going all in on whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
taking risks and being vulnerable.
Exactly. To me, it's like, why not go on it? I mean, I know some chef buddies are like, no, I just wouldn't do it. They've already accomplished some things. Maybe winning would show some weakness. I don't know. I don't get it, because to me, it's like, what do you have to lose? Even if you don't win the money or the show, you still went on, you still performed admirably, as long as you go on and try your best, what more can you do,
Well, and one of the things that I love about going to Evo, which is the restaurant that you run in Portland, Maine, is it is like the kitchen theater. I mean, when you're sitting at the bar there, I'm watching. Just
like a TV show. We're not hiding anything.
Totally. Yeah. Did you have anything to do with the design of the restaurant?
A little bit on the opening, the original Evo. Actually, we're hopefully in October 2020, where our goal is to move locations, and we're already working on a big more ambitious location, but still very open with the kitchen very much on display, where that side of the performance, cooking every night, whether it's an open kitchen or a closed kitchen, you're performing. You're performing for people. This day and age where everyone's got Yelp, everyone's on TripAdvisor, you can't afford to have a bad week, let alone a bad night. You have a bad dish, you better correct that dish right there within service. A dish comes back, or if we put a new dish on, we change our menu all the time at Evo, and we put a new dish on the menu, immediately I'm asking for feedback. I want to know what the guest thinks right away, because if it needs to get tweaked, it's going to tweak that night. We're going to look at it again, even though we've already been very critical of it that day or that week leading up to the dish making it on the menu. There's no room for error. And that being said, it's a performance. Evo is truly open. You can sit around the bar as you have, Nancy, before.
Oh, I love that.
And we don't hide anything. I can confidently say we are one of the cleanest kitchens in Portland. I'd like to think we put some of the best food out in Portland. I'll let the diners be the judge of that, but I can say without a doubt we're one of the cleanest, most transparent operation in Portland of how the food starts from a raw product, gets prepared, and ends up on your plate. And from a handful of seats, you can see every step of the way and see it come to you.
And also, it's innovative. Like, I've been there when the bartenders have been inventing new cocktails,
yes,
and they're experimenting. And I just love that, watching the creation process.
Absolutely. Nothing to hide and nothing that we'd want to hide. We want to practice the most sound techniques, the most cleanliness, practices. It's the right way to run an operation, whether it's visible to a guest or not. If you're behind closed doors and you're able to hide something, I don't think you necessarily should. If something drops or falls and it shouldn't be served, probably should go in the trash, and you should eat that cost.
Not the food.
Yeah, not the food. Eat the expense. Eat the mistake, and by that means put it in the trash. But yeah, it's. I think being in an open kitchen like that makes you a little more vulnerable. We wear gloves often, but oftentimes we don't. We try not to handle any ready-to-eat food at any time between using spoons and tweezers, but you'll still get an occasional question. We have these disposable tasting spoons, compostable tasting spoons, where we taste once and it goes right in the compost. And it's still, people are asking, they're eating our food. Of course, we're tasting it, making sure it's right, seasoned properly. Salt is ready, acid's right, and all little details are ready to go.
That's right. So, Matt, if you had it to do all over again, what would you do differently?
I don't think I would do much differently. I thought about that question a little bit, and I was thrown a curveball at a young age. My parents made me be financially independent at an early age, and I haven't looked back. It wasn't like I had this dream of running a restaurant. It happened naturally. I had those short-term goals along the way of performing and moving up, and I accomplished them. And again, a decade later, I picked my head up and I'm running an operation. Truth be told, when we opened Evo 2015, I didn't open as the executive chef. I opened as the chef de cuisine. I lacked some confidence to run in my own restaurant. I thought, this will be a good opportunity to learn a thing or two while being in a managerial role. I think if I could do anything differently, it would be later in my career in 2014, 2015, 16, having a little more confidence. You asked me if I had say in the design of Evo.
Right.
As we thought about that open kitchen concept. And I had more say. I just held back. And at the time, in those 4 years of Evo, we've worked a lot of those kinks out. But I wish I'd been more vocal early on. I was opening with another chef from Manhattan, and I thought to myself, he's older than me. He's got a little more experience. And I took a backseat role. And a lot of those things that I questioned when we opened, I was actually right about. And I should have been more confident early in that process. But as I said, 4 years in, we've really got our course. I think the food that we're doing is as good as it's ever been at Evo, and I do think it's some of the best food in Portland, and proud of it, and not without any hard work. Constantly going to the farmers markets, constantly seeking the best product, constantly saying, can we change it? Can we improve a dish? And really not letting anything stay on the menu too long. So I don't think there'd be any drastic change. Maybe I would have liked to, I worked in Boston for 4 years, and would I have liked to gone to New York or Chicago if time had permitted? Sure.
But Portland is a foodie city, right?
And it is. And it amazes me how every year, someone who doesn't live in Portland is like, man, Portland's blowing up. I've been hearing that since 2007, working at 555, people being like, have you eaten at Duck Fat? Have you tried these restaurants? And being like, yeah, I have. But now 10 years later, still hearing about some of these same places. And it's amazing, it's amazing how the bulk of the business, sure, we're busy in the weekends all year round, but the bulk of the business is in the last 6 months of the physical year. It's June to Christmas with a slow November, But it's amazing how those 6 months can sustain so many restaurants, can make so many restaurants be put on the map, and so many people come travel and go to it, and go to them every single night. And it really is a foodie scene where I wondered a few years ago how much better the scene could get. It consistently gets better. The food has consistently gotten better. The competition consistently rises. And I think it forces everyone to really up their game. I love it. I think competition brings out the best in everyone, no matter what you do. And the level of good restaurants and good chefs in Portland has risen consistently for a decade.
Well, one of the things I like as one of your social media followers is I can see what you're creating for that night because you post consistently on Instagram. Yep. And, obviously you're connecting with your diners and prospective diners through Instagram. So you talked a little before about an older chef, and perhaps maybe that might be something you bring to the table is your love of social media.
And I'll tell you, I reluctantly found an interest in social media, which certainly has taken hold, but very much reluctantly. I thought 5 years ago or so that it might be a blip. I wasn't convinced. I knew I had seen the rise of Facebook. When I was at Fairfield University in Connecticut, we were one of the first 40 or 50 schools to have Facebook before it was open to people not in college. And, but I wasn't convinced it was anything different than AOL Instant Messenger from 5 or 6 years before, which kind of died. These things died and they constantly were getting upgraded, but these platforms were falling behind or just falling off entirely, And I wasn't convinced. And when Evo opened, I have a buddy of mine who's in marketing in Manhattan, and he works at a record label, and he's like, dude, you have to get on a social media platform. And it has to be Instagram because of the visuals that go behind it, because the visual aspect of your food. Yeah, you care about the way your food tastes, but you also very much care about the presentation of your food. You need to start putting that out there. And one day he was eating at Evo and he's like, hey man, can I see your phone? And I didn't think anything of it. And he turned it back to me a few minutes later. He's like, you're on Instagram now. You're welcome.
Yeah, right.
And I appreciate that because I think you do. And it has reached a broader scope. It's reached a broader audience that have then, through things like Chopped, through other PR that you do in the area, they come into the restaurant and like, hey, I love the way you plated that dish. I had to come in and try it, And another chef friend of mine in the area said to me, he's like, look, one that I respect actually, so I can say his name, a buddy, a chef of Eventide, Mike Wiley, said to me, he said, I appreciate the way you post your Instagram because it's pretty clear that you care a lot about the visual aspect of that food. And I don't think caring can stop. I don't think it just stops at the visual. You're probably going to care about how you're cooking it, the technique you're putting into it, and where you're sourcing your food. And I think it's evident from those posts. And so, appreciate that, Chef Mike. And it's you've had people who in the industry and not in the industry remark about that. So being out there and consistently showing people what you're doing, what interests you, whether it's a season or an ingredient, I think is important now. And I have a naysayer a few years ago have seen how it can very much help your business.
Well, and of course, the whole premise of this podcast is connecting with people, both through social media and in person. And of course, you are totally doing that by connecting with people through social media. And then when they come in, they actually see you and sometimes even they get to talk to you. And so you have a network of loyal fans. I was just going to say, I think that, that's the interesting part. You have this social media network where you can connect with some people. And I think there's some chefs out there that are probably just
social media chefs. I look at some Instagram posts and I say that radish isn't cooked, or I can tell that this is just a picture food. But trying to translate that to real food and being in a kitchen like Evo where it's entirely open and you can see me working the pass, working the food, cooking, and you can say hi, and I'm definitely going to engage. I actually prefer old-fashioned connecting with people face-to-face, making eye contact, smiling, having some fun, than I do over, what do they call it, a DM on social media, direct message. I would much rather have the interaction, the social interaction, the enjoyment you get from seeing someone and connecting with someone truly in person than I do over online. But where I was going with this is I see people on the Instagram post things and I can tell that their food, there's no way, like, they don't even do that. There's people who post food who have thousands and thousands of followers, but they don't even run a restaurant. So that's cool. Like you're making this kind of food at home, like, and some of it I can tell isn't even food that is meant to be eaten. Whereas we really try to showcase what we're going to eat. It's actually making me think of a picture I took on Saturday of this rhubarb salad. One of my sous chefs, my chef's cuisine guy did on Saturday. I'm going to have to post it because it's phenomenal. It photographs amazingly and it just tastes better than it even looks. It looks great, but it tastes better than it looks. It's local rhubarb. We're getting rhubarb from a couple of different farms, one in Cape Elizabeth, Greaves Park, and a farm in Buxton called Snell Farm. And the rhubarb is dynamite. And we mix the rhubarb with grapes, sweet muscat grapes, cucumbers, and top it with some feta cheese, olive oil, and lemon juice. And it is so simple.
No
it is
strawberries?
So beautiful. Not yet. Soon. Maybe,
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the strawberries will replace the grapes when they're in season here in a couple of weeks. I heard from a farmer buddy of mine, like 3 weeks, we'll have the first main strawberries. It's been a slow spring. It's been chilly.
Tell me about it.
But the salad is delicious. Imagine tart rhubarb, sweet grapes, cucumber, salt, lemon juice, olive oil, feta cheese, and some sumac, and it's amazing.
I would never think of that combination.
And it's so simple and amazing, and it photographs well, but it's meant to be eaten well. And the picture that you see is just like the dish you're going to eat. And so there's no hiding. There's no, what you see on my social media is what you're going to get when you come in and order it.
Well, I love the fact that you enjoy social media, but you really enjoy meeting people in person because that's where the magic happens, in my opinion. I mean, when you're face to face with somebody, and I feel like that kind of has happened with us.
Oh yeah, what's up?
You and me,
new friends.
Well, and I came and saw you at the Portland Press Herald event.
Yes, that's where we met. Just cooking. I was cooking in front of you, very naturally, very organically, giving you guys, little bites of our food, letting you try what we do best.
Right, but then when you had that speaking engagement with the Portland Press Herald event,
oh, that's right,
One Longfellow Square
with Christian Hayes.
Yeah, that was awesome, and we had a little eye contact.
That's
I was
right.
like, oh yeah, he recognizes me.
Indeed, I did.
So I feel like that's like there actually are chemicals that transmit between humans when they're in person.
Without a doubt, the intimate connection that can be made. The intimacy of looking at someone and really seeing someone enjoy a bite of your food or just enjoy a joke you make, whether or not you're a chef, is so much more than someone typing back LOL.
Right, exactly.
Or, it's like that. Yeah, that's great. And sometimes I'll be texting a buddy of mine. I'm like, I'm calling you. Your sarcasm is either way over my head. You're either too funny for me or I'm not getting it because I need to hear you laugh or I need to know that we're on the same page.
Right. Yeah.
But I think at Evo, what a great thing is I love seeing people who I recognize come in and sit at the bar and then be like, oh, dude, I see a couple new menu items. Be like, yeah, check them out. Let me know if you have any questions or any recommendations. Like I said, that rhubarb salad, that's what's up. That's what you need to try tonight.
It's like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. I mean,
in a way, it is. I don't know if we have as loyal and dedicated of a daily following as Woody and
Norm.
Norm, and yeah, exactly. Some of the characters, but in the same idea. We certainly have people come in once a week,
right?
And it means the world when I see them.
And it's exciting too. I know when I've been there, sometimes I've met people who have traveled from Manhattan or other places because they've heard about the restaurant or they've heard about Portland and then they came in and it's part of their tourism experience.
In July and August, I don't think there's a hotel room really available on the peninsula. And every single night, July, August, and September, every single night is busy. Every single night's a Friday or Saturday night. And a good large portion are locals, but a good large portion are people coming to Portland. Sure, it's beautiful. Sure, it's on the ocean. It's aesthetic. And the days will be filled with the beaches and the Fort Williams and all the cool offerings we have outside. But the nights are filled with the restaurants and the bars.
Right. And those visitors love meeting the locals too, because that's part of the experience, right?
We always get people, that eat like, oh, this is awesome. Maybe we'll come back for lunch tomorrow. Where should we eat dinner tomorrow night? Where should we check? And then we'll have people come in and be like, wow, we were sent from 4th Street. We were sent from Central. We were sent from, and then in that turn, you got people you send right back to these other places. So it's an awesome community.
It's an eco structure.
Yeah, it's an awesome community to be a part of. And I'm fortunate to be able to cook and participate in it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a short break and hear about the Marshall Plan, but we're going to be back in a moment with Chef Matt Ginn.
Hey, PR Maven Nation, Greg here from Marshall Communications. I want to talk about your marketing strategy. Some days, do you feel like you're a hamster running in a wheel? Perhaps you're running the same ad in the same publication because that's the way you've always done it. Or do you not know how many media impressions you got from that news story last month? Do you sometimes feel like you're doing a lot of work but not seeing the results? Well, the good news is you're not a hamster. And if you're feeling like your marketing plan could be better, we'd love to help. At Marshall Communications, we worked with a wide range of businesses and organizations to create a customized marketing strategy known as the Marshall Plan. During a period of 3 months, we meet with you and your top stakeholders to learn about your world, what keeps you up at night, and best of all, the ways we can work together to combine your knowledge and our marketing and public relations experience to avoid the feeling of spinning in a wheel and create a 3-year marketing plan that provides you with a vision for success. The Marshall Plan is a fully customized document using our 65 proprietary steps and leads to a playbook for your success. And trust me, it feels so much better than running around in a wheel. Now's a great time for you to grow your business, increase your profits, and most importantly, measure your results. If you think your business or organization would be a candidate for a Marshall Plan, you can take our Marshall Plan quiz to find out. Visit marshallpr.com/quiz. And if you'd like to schedule a free consultation about a Marshall Plan, visit marshallpr.com/consult or call us at 207-623-4177. Be sure to mention the code PODCAST for your free gift.
Okay, welcome back. And today we're talking with Chef Matt Ginn from Evo Kitchen Bar and the Chesapeake Island Inn. And I want to dive right back in with more questions. I'm just having so much fun. And in a way, I kind of almost wish we were right at the bar at Evo. So we could be...
It wouldn't be bad. Have some food.
Yeah. In hindsight, well...
Have a drink?
Yeah.
A little both? Next time.
Of course,
Next time we'll go live from Evo Kitchen Bar.
I think that, we're going to have a second episode with you because those of you who know the real Nancy kind of know that that's where I thrive. There's a reason I'm in PR is I just love to be out and about.
Shoot, I think I thrive going out to eat too. I'm probably better at going out to eat than I am at maybe my favorite thing to do.
So, Matt, I know that you are very successful with your PR and social media and marketing for the restaurant. And how do you measure your success? Do you have any way of measuring other than number of people that come in every night?
That's another good question, and one that I gave some consideration to. How do I measure my success? I think the best way for me to measure success isn't how busy the restaurant is, isn't how slow the restaurant is, isn't it can be measured in a lot of different ways. But one I take away is the feedback from the people who actually join us. I think that, sometimes people will say, screw Yelp in a more inarticulate way. They don't like the platforms where everyone has a voice. But I think those platforms are a good thing. I think it holds us chefs and restaurateurs and managers in hospitality to a really high standard. And I think that that voice is a good measure of success. I'm very proud of where Evo stands on a platform like OpenTable or TripAdvisor or Yelp. And it took a long time to move up in those ranks and to get there. And I think it's a good measure because those people visit your restaurant. You'll hear these people say, oh, someone can leave a review that doesn't have to visit. Some of those platforms, maybe a very, very small percentage do, but I think it's a good way of me measuring my success and hearing the feedback from the people actually dining in the restaurant, actually enjoying the food. And then the other way I measure my success is by the cooks and chefs who work for me, how long they stay and what they go on to do after they leave me and what kind of impact I can have on them. I think working in hospitality, and certainly in the back of the house, you don't do it for the money. You have to have some kind of passion when you do it. You do it because you love to cook. You love to make people happy. And goal is to run your own operation or own your own place and be your own chef, whatever kind of food you want to do. And that's one of the first things I ask cooks when they work for me. It's what do you want to do when you grow up? And if the answer is anything but be in hospitality for the long term or run my own kitchen, I'm quick to tell them that this isn't the job for you. So one way I'd measure my success is how long cooks stay with and cook for me and what they go on to do after they cook for me.
That's really interesting. I've never heard anyone say that that's a measurement of success is the tenure of their employees, but I think that's really great.
Well, as we talked about all those great restaurants in Portland these days and all these great chefs, I think the number of chefs is growing, but the population of Portland hasn't increased at the same rate that the number of these great restaurants has, or the number of people that come to Portland just to eat. And therefore finding cooks has been a real challenge. 3 years ago, I would do anything for cooks. I often closed the dish pit or was working a station much more than I do now. And this summer, I'm not even looking for cooks at Evo. And it's amazing because I think I'm in a very small percentage of restaurants in town that aren't. I have people calling me saying, hey, I'm coming back, or hey, I just really want to come cook and work with you. And I'm not looking for cooks at all. And it feels great.
Well, if you have mastered that challenge, I mean, that's...
And, knock on wood, Nancy, I don't know how long this is going to last. But
really?
Right now, June 4th, here I am. I'm feeling pretty good about my staff and about the relationships, again, about the staff who've left and how I've built this network of people who've cooked for me at Evo in 4 years that really maintain this friend group, as we thread in PR and social media, we actually have this instant messaging group on Instagram that we call it the Evo Kitchen Crew. And you have to have worked at Evo for at least a year to be invited into this chat, this forum. And there's a real bond, there's a real brotherhood and sisterhood of cooks and chefs that have come and gone and who are currently at Evo in this chat. And you might go a day or two without a post, but it's consistently running. It's a consistent thread, and it's consistently being participated on by people currently cooking at Evo and people currently not. And it's a really cool thing to see grow naturally, grow organically from the hard work and hours put in the kitchen, the sacrifice put into the kitchen. Because again, no one cooks for the money. If you're cooking for the money, you're I don't know. You need to pick your head up because you could be making some money a lot easier ways than that.
Right. Well, that's a perfect segue into my next question, which is that most successful people have a network of fans and followers. And has your network grown organically, or has it been a conscious effort to grow your network?
It has grown most notably organically. Sure, some of it when you do a show like Chopped, that there'll be some wave of people who see it on TV, who read about it in the local media and reach out because of that. But that wasn't my motivation for doing the show. I did the show because I enjoy cooking. Because as I said, I like to put myself out there. I did it just because it's kind of a career goal. I wouldn't say it was a career goal, but it was something that why turn it down? I've been cooking as hard as I can for 12 to 14 years. Why say no to something that I know that I can perform? I know that I can go out and cook. That's all I've done. So yeah, it grew organically through those things. We have certainly participated in things systematically and things that we had a PR strategy to grow the business. But I actually, truth be told, think it's grown more through word of mouth and putting out a good product day in and day out than any one media event.
Well, I heard you talk about being competitive, and I know that you went to Cheverus High School in Portland, Maine.
I did, yeah.
You were an athlete there. And
sure.
I mean, do you feel like your athletic background has helped you in your career?
Yeah, I think that I love sports. I still am an avid sports fan of the Patriots and Celtics. And
Red Sox?
I like the Red Sox, but truth be told, not as much as basketball and football. I was a runner in high school and played some lacrosse and a little basketball. I like the Red Sox. I think it's hard to follow until it gets seasons long. 2 restaurants in the summertime doesn't provide a lot of opportunity to watch. But hey, still nonetheless a fan. If they're in the playoffs, you better believe I'm tuning in. That being said, I think that the structure that I got from sports, from coaches, I was able to liken a lot to the kitchen. You're very much a team in the kitchen. It's just like a sports team where there's a goal, a set goal at the end of the night, and we're all collectively a part of that and trying to achieve it, trying to put out the best food possible. In any kitchen, you have this hierarchy, totem pole. The French term is the brigade. And it's like having a position on a sports team, a station in the kitchen. No one position is more important than another. Sure, one might require a little more experience or a different mindset. I've seen cooks be better sauté cooks or roast cooks or protein cooks than they are pastry cooks, but that's just how they're hardwired. Some might be better garde manger cooks. Some might be better platers. Some might be better at, butchering. Some might be better at measuring pastry recipes that are very detailed and slower. But that being said, everyone has these strengths and weaknesses in the kitchen. And it's like a sports team where someone might be a little quicker, a little stronger, a little taller, but we're all trying to achieve the same thing, put out the best food possible, trying to win or trying to, have your PR, set your goals of doing the best you can in a night and doing it collectively. Because a kitchen isn't about one person. It's not about a chef. I run a very collaborative kitchen. My sous chefs are as important as I am on any given night, without a doubt. If I didn't go to Evo for a week or 2, I guarantee you none of you would notice because of the strength of my team. And
although people like to see you standing there when they come in.
Sure. And I like to be there too. I think the team would notice more than the public would notice.
Right.
Because my sous chefs can uphold my standards and maintain them whether I'm there or not, whether I'm at the Chevigue Island Inn or I'm at Evo. They both have worked for me many years so we're on the same page. The expectation is the same. And it's just very much like a sports team. You're very much trying to achieve a goal. It's not an I thing. It's not a me thing. It's a we thing. It's a team thing. And you need a good team to achieve. And again, no one position is more important than the other. A lot of times young cooks think to themselves, I'm starting on garde manger, or as American restaurant would say, a salad station or cold food. But it's no less important than the protein station, the fish station, or the roast station. Everyone who comes into the restaurant is going to get something on your station and something on that station, and your food better sing just as much as that hot food better sing. Better be seasoned and prepared just, perfectly, just as well as it possibly can be, as well as the hot food. So it's a team, and it's one of the things I enjoy most about it is valuing individuals' strengths and weaknesses.
I love what you said. It's not an I thing. It's not a me thing. It's a we thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tweet if I ever heard one. So we're going to have to tweet that out there.
I mean, it can't be more true. My team now is as good as it ever has been. And I have 5 or 6 people who have been with me for a long period of time, but they all have things that they're a little better than each other at. It's not the best chef I've ever worked with still had some weaknesses. They still were way better at certain things than others. The world of food is so vast that you can never know it all. You might be, Evo is rooted in some Eastern Mediterranean technique and tradition, but it's not limited to that. It's rooted in some Lebanese food and Israeli food and Greek food, Turkish food. but it's not limited to that. We pull inspiration from Italy, from Spain, from Morocco. We pull inspiration from Yemen. We pull inspiration from, Jewish food from Poland, and it all stretches. And there's I could sit here and get into the how and the why and how is that applicable and how does that work because of Israeli food and because of not just Jewish food, but how Spain and Morocco is all once more territory and Persian inspired, and how it all links back to Turkish or these routes of trade and thoughts. But we're not limited to that. Okay. And food is such a vast thing. You're never going to know everything about food. I don't care how good and how talented you are. You might be rooted in Mediterranean, but I'm never going to know everything about the world of French food or the world of Japanese food. And that's the coolest thing about food is that 13 years in, I know in 13 more years, I'll still be reading books. I'll still be just jumping in. And it's a humbling thing, but it's such a cool thing about food. You're never going to know all the techniques, know all the styles of something. And, there's more than one way to crack an egg. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's a lot of different ways to make great food. And it's a very cool thing about food.
Well, I think one of the reasons that you're so successful is because it seems like you have boundless curiosity and you just want to learn and improve and compete.
Exactly. Continually. I think the process is continually to think about how can we make it better. When Evo opened in June of 2015, we put out some great food. I'm very proud of the food we put out when we first opened, but the food now is without a doubt unequivocally better than it was when we opened 4 years ago. And it's only come through trial and error and through constant self-reflection and self-criticism and feedback from guests. And growing a team. The team when we opened was good. The team that we have now is way better. And I think the team that we have in 4 years will be way better than the team we have now. And you just got to keep asking yourself, what can we do to make this better?
Well, I've so enjoyed this conversation, and I actually am really looking forward to our second podcast because we're going to do it live and in person.
Sounds good.
Right there at Evo. But I want to thank you for coming in today. And I know that PR Maven Nation enjoyed hearing you. And if PR Maven Nation wants to connect with you, what is the best way for them to connect?
Well, thank you for having me, Nancy. It's been a pleasure. To connect with me, the best way would be to Instagram at chefmackginn.com or on Instagram at Evo Oldport. And my email is mlg@evoportland.com. Shoot me an email. I'm very accessible. Like you mentioned, Nancy, you'll often see me in the kitchen, in the completely open kitchen at Evo, many nights of the week. And if I'm not there, I'm probably at home with my kiddos or I'm at Shabig Island Inn doing some more cooking. I
did go to a wedding at Shabig Island Inn several years ago, and that is a really special place.
Yeah, it's a beautiful property.
Yeah, and a lot of people sort of have this dream about going to a main island. And
this is my fourth season, and just like Evo, same mindset is the same. The food is very different, but the mindset's the same. How can we keep making it better? And I think this year is going to be a great season on the island.
Yeah. Well, there's so much more we could talk about, but our time is up. So we will circle back with you, and we're going to have your contact information and also the links to the Chop Kitchen episodes.
Room for Shrooms and Champions Throwdown.
Great. Well, thanks, and have a great day.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the PR Maven podcast. For show notes, links, and guest contact information, visit prmaven.com. If you'd like to connect with Nancy and the rest of PR Maven Nation, be sure to find our group on Facebook. We encourage you to subscribe to the podcast and share our content to bring on great guests with more information. Plus, you can also connect with your target audience, build your network, and build your brand.